Hello y'all and happy summer and welcome to my June reading wrap-up. Altogether, I read a total of 10 books which consisted of 1 fiction, 1 novella, 1 thriller, 2 fantasy, and 5 romance. I feel like June was an alright reading month for me. I didn't have a single 5-star read, which was kind of disappointing, but I did have some fun summer reads. I finished some series, I continued some series, and I also started some series, so we had a little mixture of everything. But starting off, I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think this is my 3rd book by her so far, and I've been trying to get through her backlist because I've heard basically nothing but great things about all of her books, and this one really intrigued me because the whole book's layout is very different. The book reads, and it's kind of almost sectioned off character by character, so it reads kind of like a screenplay would, or maybe kind of a podcast if you're listening to it, which I did listen to a lot of it on audiobook, which I would highly recommend. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It was so good, and I know I'm late to the train because this book has been popular for so long and there's been so much talk about it, but I did also in fact start the TV show series, and I'm only 1 episode in, but I'm really enjoying it so far. This book deals with Daisy Jones and the band The Six and how they kind of get together and form a new band, but it's also so much more than that, and it goes through each of their lives and how all 7 of them are so different, and there's some pretty hard-hitting things that happen in this book, but I loved it. It was so much fun, and I'm glad I finally picked it up. Next up, I in fact started another series. I did do that. But honestly, it was so worth it because I've been yearning for this author's writing. There's just something about it. I don't know. It was calling to me, and it was The Chase by Elle Kennedy. So I started the Briar U series. One of my friends really loved this book, so I figured it was my time to finally pick it up. There's something about her writing style that I can pick it up and just fly through it in like 2 days, which doesn't happen very often for me. I gave this book 4.75 stars. It didn't give me the 5-star feeling, but I will say I do think about it from time to time. You get some little glimpses of our 2 main characters through the Off-Campus series, especially of Summer, but you don't really know Fitzy that well until this book. This book had me giggling, I was laughing, I was loving it. It was so much fun. And I already said this, but I read it so fast. Every time I pick up one of her books, I say, oh, I'm gonna read for 10 minutes, and then I wind up finishing the book. Every single time. I will say though, if you pick up one of her books, just know that they're gonna be fun, they're gonna be lighthearted, not to be taken seriously. Well, maybe some of the things aren't that lighthearted, but they're just fun, little playful hockey romances that I quite enjoy. Next up, I read a kind of newer release, which is While We're Young by K.L. Walther, which I should have known because her other 2 books were very summery. I thought that this was going to be a summer book, but it is not. It takes place while they are in high school. I gave this 3.5 stars, and I was kind of anticipating it being a higher rated book for me because on the back of the book it says inspired by the cult classic film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And if you don't know anything about me, I love movies and I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So I really enjoyed the few little lines and quotes that were in here. I think I did underline some of them actually. I thought I did. Maybe not. Anyways, there was a few quotes that were very similar or reminiscent of the movie, and we actually had a character from the movie show up in this book for a little cameo, which I thought was so fun. There's kind of a love triangle, there's some messy secrets that are hidden between the 4 of them, and they kind of take the opportunity to have a fun little senior skip day. And it's just fun. I had a really good time with it. I think it is a little bit too YA for my liking. I think my taste is kind of changing in books, and I just don't think I was in the greatest of moods for a YA book. I also have a reading vlog with this and another book that I'll be showing in a little bit coming soon. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. If you're looking for a good YA book, also have the sprayed edges. This is a good one. Speaking of YA books, I picked up another one, which was Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I really wanted the sprayed edges version, but at my Barnes & Noble there was like a factory mishap, I guess, where a few of the copies kind of just, they have some boo-boos, but it's okay. I love Lynn Painter's writing, and I love her banter, and I also love her covers. I think all of them are just so cute. This one reminds me a lot of Better Than the Movies, I will say. I also gave this 3.5 stars. I will say I was really looking forward to this one, but it kind of just felt a little more childish than I was hoping for, but it did make me laugh and giggle at some points. This does have fake dating, which I do really enjoy, but I feel like the way that it was done was a little for me. It just overall was not my favorite Lynn Painter book. I think it was probably my least favorite one so far. And I've read most of her books, so that was a little bit disappointing, but I'm glad that I finally got around to reading it. Next up, I actually did complete another series. It was a little series of novellas written by Ali Hazelwood called The Stemist? What was it called? The Stemist Novellas, which was Below Zero. And I know, we're in the middle of June and this book literally takes place in winter, but I did really want to finish up the series, plus it was a novella, so it was really short and sweet. I did rate this one 2 stars. I don't know if it's just because it was a novella, or I don't really, it just wasn't for me. I feel like in the spice level, they went from 0 to 100 way too quick. And they just did not have any chemistry, which I think is funny because it's called the Stemist Novellas. But yeah, normally I enjoy a good enemies to lovers, but I feel like we didn't have enough time between that transition for me to really enjoy it, if that makes much sense. I am interested in reading more Ali Hazelwood books, even though I didn't enjoy the novellas, but maybe I'll enjoy her full-length books more. I don't know, we'll see. You may laugh, because I laughed, definitely, when I picked up this book, but I started another series. I started To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I grew up obsessing and loving the movies, and I saw these books, and they were on sale, and I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna pick them up. I'm gonna do it. They're super short and sweet. They're YA, you know, And about a month ago, I watched XO Kitty, which is the spin-off show from these books. And I don't know, I really wanted to pick them up. I gave it 3 stars, not because it was bad, but there was a few really big differences between this and the movie, which I was not expecting. And I did also listen to this book through an audiobook for a little bit, and I gotta say I didn't quite enjoy the audiobook narration, which could have played a part in my rating as well. Obviously, when a story goes from a book to a movie adaptation, there's going to be a lot of differences, and there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to have to cut for it to make it into the movie, so it's not obnoxiously long. But there was a lot of parts that I thought were really cute and sweet that were in this book and not in the movie, so I'm really glad that I picked it up. But the one thing that really probably lowered my rating more than I was anticipating was Peter in this book. Now, Peter is the main male character, and in the movies, like, he's a little bit of a jock, a little bit of a jerk, you know, but in this one, he's a jerk. And I was not expecting him to just be like, in the movies, it's really easy to fall for him, but in this one, it's just like, you, again, seriously, no, I just didn't enjoy it as much as I was expecting. But I'm not going to bother telling the plot of this book because majority of you watching probably already know it, because this book and the series is just one of the most best-selling books. I am curious to continue this series though, because I'm wondering how it lines up with the movies, if it does at all. On to my last romance, which I actually just finished about 20 minutes ago, and it was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I've read all 3 of her backlist books. Every Summer After, I did not enjoy that book. I think it's a complete ripoff of Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I just did not enjoy it at all. But the reason I bring up that book is because this is kind of a sequel, kind of a continuation of that book, because in Every Summer After we follow Percy and Sam, but Sam has an older brother named Charlie who is the male love interest in this one, which made me very, very conflicted picking this up because I hated Charlie in Every Summer After. But it almost felt like I was reading about a different person, which makes sense because this is how many years in the future? I don't know, 10 years in the future we'll call it? I don't know. I can't remember exactly how many years in the future, but many, many years. And Charlie is still a little bit of an F-boy. He's a flirt. You know, he's still got his same tendencies, but Alice is very sweet. She's very to herself. She's a photographer, which I really loved that aspect. I'm still kind of going back and forth on my rating for this one. I think I'm gonna be landing on a 4.25. That might change by the time I'm editing this. It was definitely not a 5-star for me, but I will say the part of this book that was 5-star was the setting, which is actually based on a real place, and it was It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect for summer. And I'll also give her that her covers are breathtaking. I'm obsessed with them. Like I said, with me not being the biggest fan of Charlie, it was kind of hard to judge him and see his character development throughout this one. And there is also some kind of more cringier lines in this one, which I can take cheesy to a point, but there gets to a point where it's just not my favorite to read about. But in this book, Alice and her nan return to Barry's Bay, which is the lake that Charlie grew up on. Alice went there as a kid, and now she's back there, and they kind of don't hit it off the greatest, which I think makes their relationship that much better. Overall though, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, which is a definite plus. And yeah, I'd recommend. Next up, I listened to Do You Remember by Freida McFadden. Freida McFadden books are just potato chip books, in my opinion. Most of them are super, super short, and they're just so fast-paced. They're thrillers, you can get through them so easily. I gave this book 3 stars. In this book, our main character wakes up every morning not remembering anything besides what happened in 10 plus years in the past. If you have watched the movie 50 First Dates with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler in it, it's very similar to the premise of that movie, except make it through the female character's point of view and make it a thriller. And I do really love that movie, and I really liked how it was repetitive but kind of different from day to day, if that makes any sense at all. I'm very conflicted how I feel about her as an author. I haven't really loved any of her books, but I kind of just pick them up when I need a little break from a romance or just something fun and fast-paced to get through. Like I said, this one was a 3-star. It wasn't too bad, but I do feel like the ending was a little underwhelming in my opinion. Onto my last 2, which are both fantasy. I'll save the most controversial one for the last, but I finally finished off the Folk of the Air trilogy with The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I gave this book 3 stars. I think overall this series is just not my favorite. It is a really good introduction to fantasy, but I feel like I just needed a little more than a YA read. I think I'm gonna stop picking up YA books, or at least try to, after this month. Maybe take a little break. This book continues right after where we left off in the second book, and I feel like the ending, how it wrapped up, was pretty good. It made sense for where the book was going, and it leads up really well to the next series. I don't know what it's called, but I don't think I will be picking that up. I started the series back in, I think, September of last year, and I was hoping to get through this all in fall, and we are now in summer of this year. I just didn't fall for the characters, and I didn't enjoy them as much as I was hoping I would. And there was also so much hype around this series that it just fell a little flat for me. I think fantasy-wise, I'm looking for something that's a little more high stakes. There was high stakes in this, but not as much as I was hoping. And lastly, this book is a literal brick. Literally, I think this is the longest and biggest book that I've ever picked up, and it is none other than IRON, Flame, by Rebecca Yarros. I cannot pronounce the word IRON for some reason. I say it very weird, so I will not be saying it in this video. But oh man, this one took me a long time to get through. I think the audiobook for this is like 28 hours, which is insane. I was very skeptical about going into this book because I loved Fourth Wing. It was a 5-star read for me. It was so good, but I've heard so many not so good things about this book. A lot of things like it's a filler book, there's a lot of information that you don't need, they didn't really like the direction that the book went in, and I kind of have to agree. I gave it 3.5 stars. I understand why it went in the direction it did, but I was kind of hoping for something different. I will be continuing this series, but I'm hoping that Onyx Storm, which is the next book in the series, might be a little better. I think my hopes were a little too high for it, which is also why my rating was not as high as I was hoping. It was just alright to me. And then a lot of the plot points felt very slow, and it was very overwritten, if that makes sense. I just wanted to get to the next part. I didn't want to continue on where we were in the book. My arm is literally hurting from holding this, but I think I fall into the majority with this one of it was just meh. So that was all the books that I read in the month of June. Like I said, I didn't have the greatest of reading months, but I also didn't have the worst either. If y'all want to see more fun reading wrap-up videos and just more fun bookish content in general, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!